Hello and welcome to Route 664, the road to human kindness. I'm your host, Les Winston, and I'm the national spokesperson for socialsecharity.org. And that's a project of the Endow American Network Foundation, a 501c3 organization that's dedicated to building the world of philanthropy. The necessity is to have more philanthropic advisors who are qualified to help you work with social charity devices to help you get more income, lower your taxes, and do something really good for the community. We talk about Section 664 of the tax code. That's the reason for the name, Route 664, because we want you to get familiar with that section. It's very important. It's one of the best sections of the tax code for planning. In fact, many of the ultra-wealthy families in the country have been using that section for a very long time. It's time now for everybody to be able to use it. And in order to do that, you need to understand how it works. Some of the issues that are raised with that kind of planning, especially when you're talking about charitable planning. Most people, when I say charitable, they think, well, I'm giving it away. I'm never going to get to see it again, and that's it. I have to figure out where I want to give it and never have anything come back from it. That's not how charitable planning works with social charity devices. These devices allow you to give and get something back, and then ultimately the gift that you gave will be given to the nonprofit organization that you want it to go to. So it's kind of a deferred gift. And while it's deferred, you get income. And that comes in the form of three different types of basic charitable devices. Those are charitable gift annuities, charitable pooled income funds, and charitable remainder trusts. And there's a lot of variation in all of those types of programs where you need to know how to navigate through them properly and how to get every benefit that you can possibly get when you do create that, when you do take the time to create that. There are a lot of questions that arise when you're passing your wealth, and it has to be done with thought and meaning. My guest today is Mark Weber. Mark is a chartered advisor in philanthropy. He's also an attorney. He has a chartered CHFC designation, quite a few other designations. I don't want to read them all. We'll be here doing the alphabet. But in any case, Mark is a very qualified individual who has taken the mantle of teaching philanthropy to advisors to a very high level. Mark is from Omaha, Nebraska. Mark joins us now on Route 664.
Yeah.
How are you, Mark?
Oh, can't hear you, Mark.
Can't hear you, Mark. You're muted.
There
Can you hear me now?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Good morning.
Good morning. Nice to meet you.
You too.
Yes. So I have your book here, The Legacy Spectrum.
Great.
See, it's a great book. Yeah. We just immersed ourselves in that in the master's course and Masters in Philanthropy that Phil was kind enough to lead me through for the last 9 weeks. In any case, it's a very, very well written guide for people to get through the process of leaving a legacy. Why do you spend so much time with making it available to other professionals? What is the theme behind your drive to get the professionals more acclimated to charitable giving? Well,
I guess I was in practice for probably 40 years, and I in the financial service. Even though I'm a licensed attorney, I don't practice law. I was in the financial services business, and I worked with a very affluent clientele, and worked some very nice people. And I worked with the attorneys and helped them structure plans for the clients to oftentimes pass millions, tens of millions, and sometimes more than that to their children. Mm-hmm. And finally, it occurred to me after all those years when I was probably in my 50s that what are these kids doing with the money? And we weren't paying any attention to that. And I read a study that basically said 7 out of 10 estate plans will fail, meaning the heirs will have consumed the money or involuntarily lost the money due to incompetence, internal feuding, litigation. And I just thought as advisors, we can do better than this. We can do better. We can help our children learn to be stewards of the money they receive and secondly, to give back to the community for all the things we've received. So that was really the motivation to start the whole process.
And do you find that that some of the professional advisors that are out there today not a lot of them aren't really that skilled in this area?
Well, right. They haven't been trained, period. You just went through a master's level program, but when you go to their business school or law school, there's virtually nothing on this topic in the curriculum at all. So I wouldn't say skilled, I would say untrained.
Is that from the values side or is that from the technical side or both?
No, the values side. I mean, from the technical side, as far as passing wealth with minimal taxes, I mean, the attorneys and accountants are very well versed in that, but they're just not trained at all in the value side. And in fact, I've never heard the conversation come up in a meeting, and I've sat in between 200 and 300 meetings with clients and their attorneys doing their estate plans, and I've never heard it raised about asking somebody what their values are and what they want to pass to their children. Even though, as you know from taking that course, the number one thing people say in studies they want to pass their children is not money, it's values.
Mm-hmm.
But you don't get any training in that in law school and business school, how to pass values to your clients.
Well, a lot of parents don't like to talk about money with their kids. How do you feel about that?
Well, I agree. It's a difficult topic. It depends on how old your kids are and what. I always say it's talking about money is a little bit like talking about sex to your kids. I mean, it's uncomfortable, and so it's a process, and you do it depending on what age they are. So you have to be age appropriate. But I find people who still have kids that are 40s and 50s, you're old, and the parents still don't want to talk to them about money. And
you think they're past the sex stage, so the money's you would think that the money would be an issue, but it's like I guess there's a scarcity mentality. I don't know. Is that do you think that may be part of it? The scarcity idea, or is it just that parents don't want the children to actually understand what's going on? I'm not sure why, but what do you think the reason is? I
think that parents, again, every situation is a little bit different, so it's hard to generalize, but I think more often than not, parents are afraid that the children are going to be irresponsible with the money. And if they know they're going to get this money, they're not going to work as hard. They're not going to try as hard. They always have something to fall back on. And so parents try to basically intentionally or unintentionally hide it from the kids. But what happens, all of a sudden they die, the parents or the kids open the parents' will and they go, wow, I got this windfall, and mom and dad didn't say a word about it. I guess they were just trying to avoid taxes or something.
It's Ferrari time.
It's Ferrari time. Exactly.
Yeah.
So I guess and so that really brings us back to this values question. When you put values in the mix, when you help the parents get the children involved in their planning, how does that expand their relationship with their kids? Well,
I think when obviously everyone's going to have a little bit different values, but if a parent's values, I worked most of my career with entrepreneurs, and it was very common for them to be first generation in money. So they started businesses typically, and they worked hard and failed along the way several times, but picked themselves up again and continued moving forward. And they appreciate what they've got. And if they lost it all again, they'd say, well, I'll start over again. But they know they value money today because they didn't have any at one time. And they know that it can do good things for you, but it's not the end all. But if children don't understand that, they just grow up in money, they don't really understand what it's like to earn it from the beginning. And that's what the parents oftentimes want to pass on to their children, to the appreciation of how hard it is. And money is just money. It just buys some things. It has nothing to do with happiness. As you know, there's kind of reverse correlation oftentimes of how much net worth you are versus how happy you are. And so if parents can talk to their children about their values, and that can be the reason, the way I try to get people to do it, and in the book, but is to have family meetings. And I'm a big proponent of family meetings. I don't care if your kids are 10 years old or if they're 50 years old, to at least talk once a year with your children about what your values are and what your wishes are upon your death, what you'd like to pass on to your kids. If kids know what you want to do.
Yeah, Route 64 is a route to human kindness. How do you think that would lead kids to human kindness? Do you think that it's going to make the world a better place if parents were to pay attention a little bit? If the wealthy in the country are able to pass that on?
No question.
From a values perspective.
No question. And unless it's easy to talk about people that are ultra wealthy, because I look at it as pebbles dropped in a pond. One's a pebble, one might be a boulder, depending on what your net worth is, the impact you can have. But I don't think this is limited just to ultra wealthy. And ultra wealthy depends on definitions, but many people use like $20 million or so. Mm-hmm. But you can put $200,000 or $300,000 in the hands of a teenager and destroy their life if you haven't talked about what you expect them to do with it. Mm-hmm. So it's not just dollar amount.
Is there too much in your guide to philanthropy? Your questions. One of the questions is, how much is enough to leave to my kids? And that kind of becomes a focal point in this conversation when you're having these meetings with the children. How does that relationship? How do you build on that relationship once you've established these meetings? How does it go a step further with regard to the charitable community?
Well, how estate planning is done today, it can get very technical, but the bottom line normally is, if a person is married, 9 out of 10 estate plans, if not higher, say when the one spouse dies, the property goes to the other spouse, then it goes to the children equally. Mm-hmm. And the same pattern starts when you're first married and you get a will versus when you're 80 years old. It's the same pattern. The only thing that's different oftentimes is the amount of the wealth. And so what happens is, but parents don't talk to their kids about this wealth. All of a sudden, the money's gotten much larger than they ever imagined. And now all of a sudden, these kids get this enormous amount of money, more than the parents ever anticipated. So I try to get people through checklists in the book to say, what is exactly you'd like to provide for your children? And I just help them go down the list. Well, what is it? Is it a bigger house? Is it a bigger car? Is it education for grant? What is it? And put a dollar amount next to it. And by doing that, more often than not, parents come up and say, geez, I've given them everything. I'm going to give them everything I want. And all of a sudden there's still money left. Mm-hmm. Well, you can just shower that on them, or you could say, maybe I should give back to my community. And the vast majority of people I work with, I would suspect the same as you. Most people are pretty charitable. I mean, I think I read a statistic recently, something like 80% of all people give during their lifetime, regardless how much money they have. It may be putting $10 into a church basket. But people give during their life. But when they die, something like only 5% of people make a gift upon death. And so I try to get people to, look, why don't you just continue the giving that you did while you're alive? Leave enough money to endow that gift. Mm-hmm. And then through family meetings, I try to get parents to talk to their children about it, to say why do they give to this church or boys club or girls club or Boy Scouts, whatever it might be. Why did you do that? And it's usually because you have some affinity towards that organization. They did something for you. And that sheds a light on what you value. And so by incorporating philanthropy in these family meetings, it lets the children have an insight into what your values are.
Talk to me a little bit about the groups that you've put together for learning purposes with regard to this, the study groups.
Well, I have in Omaha just put together one, and that is it's called the CAP, the Chartered Advisor in Philanthropy Study Group, and we do it through our community foundation. I think we were, I don't know, either the second or third one in the country. I understand now there's 20 to 25 of them going on.
Mhm.
We each year, I mean, I didn't do this with the intent of doing this forever. I did to do it one time, and here I am the 10th year now doing it. And
Good.
they've been fun, and we see the impact it's having in our community, and it's exciting, the difference in our community as a result of this.
What is the impact? What can, I know that you can give me some statistics about that. Phil told me that. So
yeah. The quantifiable number that people see is after 5 years, the Community Foundation wanted to survey the CAP students and graduates and see what difference it's making in our community. So they asked the advisors, how much money, since you started taking the CAP class, is your best estimate that your clients have given to the community since you started taking the CAP program, or have committed to give, like either through their will or a beneficiary designation. And we had no idea what that number would come out. And that came out to $1.43 billion. Wow. I mean, it way bigger than any of us thought. So today, after 5 years later, it's considerably higher. We haven't surveyed people. So that's a quantifiable difference. But what I see on a tangible basis regularly is I see people, because I don't see them, the advisors tell me about they've set up family meetings they help the clients set up family meetings with their children. And then inevitably they come back and tell their attorney or accountant how rich their relationships are with their children. They say it's the only time we as adults, we get to talk to them as adults without spouses or grandkids running around on meaningful topics.
That's great. Yeah.
And so that's one result. We advisors regularly report, CAP advisors will say that since they started talking to their clients about including philanthropy in their estate plans, the statistics of the percentage of how many have given have gone up drastically from what they were before the advisor knew how to talk to them about it. So that's another thing. We're seeing advisors in our community, instead of financial advisors cooperate at times and they compete at times, depending on who you're up against, as you well know.
Right.
But what we're seeing in Omaha, the CAP graduates are collaborating with each other at a far higher extent than they've ever done before, helping clients to put together values-driven plans. So the advisors feel good about what they're doing. They can see a sense of accomplishment, and they feel they're making a difference in their community. And of course, so I hear back.
There's no question that there's a correlation between the number of professional philanthropic advisors in the community and the overall charitable wealth that's created.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So one of the things we're striving to do, of course, one of the primary objectives of the Endow America Network Foundation is to increase the number of professional philanthropic advisors. And the study groups seem to be a very good way of doing that, and getting the collaboration that's necessary in the community so that everybody can kind of serve the community. So what makes you get up, and what are you happy about getting up in the morning and doing? What's your thought for the day?
Well, I actually sold my interest in my financial services company, which I was part of for 30 years, 11 months ago. And so I technically retired.
Did you use a charitable trust to do that?
Did I what?
Did you use a charitable trust to do that?
That was a part of planning. That was incorporated, of course.
Good. Your kids know about it?
Yes, they do.
All right. Sorry.
We've been having family meetings twice a year for about 5 years. I have 5 children, and it's very rewarding and enriching. And our children got along beforehand, but they're getting along even better. They're learning about each other.
Cool.
We give. I allow each child to give a certain amount out of our donor advised fund each year, but they have to report on what they did. Mm-hmm. And what's really fascinating, Les, is that when you have a kid who might be 35 years old, I say a kid, obviously adult and parents, but when they talk about the organizations they give to, I mean, I have 4 daughters, and they start talking about giving to abused shelters for abused women, or for emergency pregnancy service. And then when they talk about what they gave to, the questions will say, oh, the kids say, why did you do that? Or what were you thinking? And then they would tell a story about a friend of theirs or about an experience they went through.
Yep.
And when we share life experiences, and so you get to know each other on a deeper basis, rather than just that's my little sister or that's my big brother. I mean, you realize you treat them as a little different as a human, and we all have different experiences we go through. So, so that's been very important. To answer your question, what drives me when I get up? I have come to realize that how we do estate planning in our country, and as you again well know, that we're in the middle of this largest intergenerational transfer of wealth in our country's history.
Yeah.
What we do today, it's very technical and without emotion. And I think I have a chance, an opportunity to change some of that at a very minimum in our community. And I think it'll have broader implications across our country. So when I can think about having that kind of impact, that's worth every bit as more than giving large sums of money, to have the ripple effect of changing advisors who then talk to their clients, who then talk to their children. And when I get to see the impact, it's very rewarding to me. So that's what drives me every day.
Well, that's a good driver, and certainly helps us move on the path to human kindness, because we need to be able to solve some of these problems at the community level. And when you build the community wealth, as you have in Omaha and what's happening in other cities where there are these study groups and people are becoming aware of the profession of the professional philanthropic advisor, I think that we're moving in that direction. And I want to thank you very much for joining me. Wanda, Wanda has a question.
I'm looking at all those books there, and I just want to know, what are you reading this week?
I should go. I have a stack of 4 books on my. I read a lot. I just read Into the Magic Shop, which is a really interesting book, and it talks about, it's a neurosurgeon and talking about our heart, and it really talks about mindfulness and how to control what we think and our feelings, and how we can react to people instead of out of anger, or how we can react out of kindness, and how to train our mind to do this. So I just finished that book. I have another one on women in finance, on their importance in our country, and the increasing importance of that. So those are the 2 that I can think of right now. I've got.
That's good.
In line.
And a happy song. What's your favorite happy song?
Oh, wait, I got one more book. I'm also reading I Love to Give. It's a book about small stories about people making gifts.
I like that.
So it's very simple. Guy's got some. I'm going to do an actual podcast with him, I think, in December. But he does. I Love to Give. And so anyway,
what's his name?
Brad Forsma. He's out of Seattle.
All right.
I'll email it to you. That'd be a good person for your interview.
Great.
Yeah, I'd love to.
And your happy song before we go.
My happy song. I'm an old time guy, so I like the goodies. Pardon me?
Give it to me.
Oh, let's see.
Come on.
My happy song.
We're going to play it on a radio.
Yeah. I don't know. Nothing's coming off the top of my head right now.
Beatles.
I was actually a big Supremes fan. I do old stuff. I do.
Ain't No Mountain High Enough.
I do Helen Reddy. I do a lot of her stuff.
Yeah, you do a lot of Helen Reddy. What's that all about?
That's my old.
Well, that's a whole other show.
You don't want to ask me about music. I have old time taste. So yeah.
Mark, it's been a pleasure. Do you have any other?
I think I'm good.
Okay.
I've got those books.
Yeah, Mark, thanks a lot for joining us. And we do air these on a lot of different places, at our YouTube, on our socialcharity.org website, but also we have our 664 radio, Route 664 radio, which we do replay the interviews top of the hour.
Yep.
So if you want to get people to hear what we've been talking about this morning, we hope you share it with your folks. We look forward to seeing you somewhere. I don't know where that's going to be, but hopefully we'll get to see you in person sometime.
Great. Nice talking to you.
Same here. Thank you, Mark. Bye-bye. That's Mark Weber. Mark is a CAP. He's also an attorney, a CHFC, quite a few CLU. He's very well educated in the financial planning arena. And we
lost Joe there.
Oh, we had Joe?
He got off before.
Oh. All right, then.
Okay.
Well, I guess Joe was
done. Catch as catch can.
He kind of is.
He's some catch a can. Okay. So very interesting.
There's Joe. Joe's back.
Joe, you there?
We'll be over
here. I'm right here.
How are you, Joe? Joe is the ambassador for the Aventura Sunny Isles Beach Chamber of Commerce. Good morning, Joe. How are you?
I'm doing great, Les. Thank you so much. Hey, Wanda, it's good to see you.
Joe, glad you're back.
Wanda and I, we've done our rounds. We've done a couple of interviews over in Sunny Isles Beach.
Yeah, we've only just begun.
We've only just begun.
You have to do everything with music.
Wanda puts together a great shot over at the Sunny Isles Pier, and we're going to be putting together a piece that I'm sure that Wanda's going to be very proud of.
Wow.
And the jury's out. I don't know. Is Wanda going to be doing the background voice, or is she going to be interviewing me? We're still trying to figure that one out. By the way, the Newport Beach Hotel, that is a venue that we're still trying to figure out exactly what's to do there, because the folks over in Kitchen 305, they're eager to see us there.
Okay.
Management is eager to see if we can bring another job fair there.
Okay.
I think we need a retreat.
I'm sorry?
We need to work a retreat in there somewhere, just a weekend to retreat and relax. No work.
Let me tell you, management over at Kitchen 305 is going to love us if we could turn that into a venue for retreat. And by the way, that particular location, it's booming. All right. We were in shock. There's barely room for you to put a blanket out on the beach behind the Newport. They're so booming.
That's because the beach is so small, or?
Well, yeah, it is a small beach, but I got to tell you the truth. Even if you look north, the beaches are packed. If you look south, the beaches are packed.
Okay.
I love their tiki huts.
We want to pack them even more.
The tiki huts.
We don't want to spoil too many children. As Mark warned, the worst thing in the world that you can do is give a big bag full of money to a person that's just graduating.
Yeah.
What we want to do is we want to rear them correctly. We want them to pay more attention to Route 664 and the road to human kindness. And this is the right time to do it, because one of the biggest problems that we found while we were interviewing people in business, we need people to come to work. Nobody wants to come back to work.
Are we through the COVID thing? Is that over? Are we still distancing? And what's the status in Aventura, Sunny Isles
when
Beach?
you were at the hotels, were everybody wearing a mask still, or are people walking around free?
I don't know. The jury's out on that. Listen, here in the state of Florida, where we're all being inundated with the vitamin D and the vitamin C, which is going to ward off, and it's going to improve your resistance. In this right to work state, everybody washes their hands and they use basic hygiene that you were taught in junior high school and high school. So our mortality and morbidity rate, it's very low. Good. And everybody's getting vaccinated. And then, of course, there are technologies which we do know about that are now flooding the market, which actually kill the viruses. Those strands, those little strands of RNA, DNA that are out there, those little free radicals. Well, there's technology that'll put an end to that. So
he's not a doctor. He just plays one.
Yeah. I just play one. That's right.
You've got. So there's a meeting coming up. I know there's a breakfast coming up for the Aventura Sunny Isles Beach Chamber of Commerce on Thursday morning, June the 8th. Is that? No, June.
That's the 10th. No, it's the 10th.
June 10th. Yeah. So people want to
Same place?
Yeah, same place at Moe's Bagels, in the back room at Moe's Bagels, but it's only available to 30 people, right, Joe?
Wow.
Maximum?
Yeah, that's the maximum. But what we can do is, we can always see if we can arrange for more space outside. And, by the way, when I was talking about the problem that merchants have hiring people,
Right.
we have been in touch with Maria Sanchez over at Career Source. They have loads of people that are looking for jobs.
Okay.
And we're looking forward to inviting Maria to come to do a talk at one of our breakfast outings, and we'd love to share more job opportunities with those that are willing to work. And as far as it turns into 664, if you're young and you're starting your employment history or your career, we're going to teach you how to correctly invest with the help of 664 and the route to human kindness.
You don't get that in school.
Good.
No. They're still
appreciate
struggling with basic math.
Yeah. All right, Joe. Well,
I still can't figure it out.
Yeah, I know.
Don't say that.
We don't give you math problems. We just have you make sure you go out and see those people in the Aventura and Sunny Isles Beach area, the businesses, and get them to be part of the chamber so we can all work together to make the communities a better place to live.
Give them that
and your enthusiasm, your enthusiasm is overwhelming, and we appreciate that. And
excellent. Les, I want to thank you. Wanda, I want to thank you.
All right.
And Joe is a realtor, so if you have some real estate issues, you can get in touch with Joe.
Realtor.
You'll find him on the Aventura's website, which is asibchamber.org. asibchamber.org. Joe, thanks for joining us on Route 664, the road to human kindness.
Great.
Excellent. I'll see you at the luncheon.
All righty. Visit
If you're
us.
at the luncheon, you're going to miss it. The breakfast will be better.
Yeah.
I'm ahead of my skis again. All right. I'll see you soon.
Okay.
Visit us on
now.
Facebook. Visit us on the website, and of course, enjoy the music at what is it? Route664.org. There we go.
Route664.org for the radio show. Yeah. And thank you, Wanda.
Hey, thank you.
Thank you, Tommy. Thank
Always
you,
a
Community
pleasure.
Newspapers, for allowing us to enjoy the wonderful ambiance of the studio.
Have a great week.
And have a great week. Yeah, we'll see you next week.